Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to be an MC for the opening ceremony of the 5th International Conference on Government Performance Management and Leadership today. I am Ajirapha Pienkunthot, a faculty member here at KOLA, College of Local Administration. And on behalf of the host, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you today. We appreciate you taking your time off your busy schedule to join us today. Sorry, some technical problem. I'm going to change the mic. I would like to start this program by inviting all of you to stand up and join me in a moment of silence to pay tribute to the memory of His Majesty King Bhumibol Adulyadej of Thailand, who passed away on 13 October last year. Thank you. Please be seated. As many of you may come to KOLA today for the first time, so we would like to draw your attention to a brief introduction of KOLA, the host of the conference today. Ladies and gentlemen, here we have video presentation of KOLA. Please enjoy.
In 2005, the College of Local Administration, or KOLA for short, was founded at Kaen University under the deanship of Dr. Pirasit Kamnuansin. KOLA was established in collaboration with Thailand's Department of Local Administration in the Ministry of Interior, with the express purpose of improving the management capacity of local government officials throughout the country. This joint effort was designed to impart and apply knowledge from the field of public administration, emphasizing decentralized management. The college initially offered a master's in public administration, but beginning in 2007, KOLA launched a bachelor's degree in public administration, with an initial class of 108 students. Since that time, KOLA has become a model for other universities in Thailand, seeking their own programs in local government. The college has also been able to improve public perception and increase awareness of the importance of local governance. With over 10,000 alumni working in local governments nationwide, KOLA has a strong network throughout the country. In 2008, reflecting this growth, the college added 2 more programs. First, a Bachelor of Public Administration in Public Finance in collaboration with the Faculty of Management Science. Second, a Bachelor of Technology in Construction and Urban Management, administered jointly with the Faculties of Engineering and Architecture at Khon University. In that same year, KOLA signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Education Bureau of the Royal Thai Police to develop a Masters of Public Administration program that would help police officers improve their knowledge and service provision in their communities. The initial class had 81 students. Recognizing that the world is interconnected, in 2009, KOLA began to offer an International Joint Doctor in Public Administration program in Public Affairs Management, in collaboration with the University of Missouri at Columbia and the University of Hawaii at Manoa. This is the first and only program of its kind in Thailand. The program prepares students to cope with rapid social and economic challenges that are facing the country through an interactive learning approach. Under the leadership of the current dean, Dr. Supawatanagon Wongtanawasu, the college is adopting a network management model and moving forward with a continued focus on improving local administration and developing meaningful partnerships at home and abroad. All of COLA's academic programs have met the quality standards established by external bodies, such as the Office for National Education Standards and Quality Assessment and the Office of the Higher Education Commission. Over the past 7 years, COLA has continued enhancing the administrative capacity of local government agencies through offering them a number of short courses. This has been accomplished through collaboration with government, private, societal, and international actors. Building on the concept of cultural-based economy, the college has been successful in encouraging the schools in Chumpa and Banpai municipalities to adopt locally designed and produced uniforms. In the next 5 years, COLA will position itself as the lead promoter for the concepts of locally driven economic and social development policy for national development. In furtherance of that goal, the college will continue to support faculty and students to pursue research projects and produce output in that field in both Thai and English that meets strict standards of international journals and other types of academic work. Furthermore, COLA aims to inculcate strong moral and ethical standards upon its students and encourage them to apply research in order to improve their communities. Moreover, COLA seeks to serve as a bridge that links local administration to the broader world, as we truly believe that we are part of the world and the world is our community.
I trust now we know a little bit about COLA. Next program, I would like to invite here at the stage Associate Professor Kittichai Trairatana Sirichai, Khon University President, to say a few words to welcome guests of honor and all participants. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcome Associate Professor Kittichai Trairatana Sirichai.
General Consul of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Lee Minggang, General Consuls of the Lao People's Republic, Mr. Bun Si, Vong Bo Si, Minister Suwit Mesin Si, Vice Governor, former Portland Mayor, Mr. Shari, Deans, delegates from the Hartfield School of Government, Portland State University, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure and privilege to welcome you to Khon University, Khon cities, and in particular to this very important conference, the 5th International Conference on Government Performance Management and Leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, Khon University was established as the major university in the northeastern part of Thailand since 1964 and has developed itself to become one of the top universities in Thailand. Khon University has recently become one of 9 national research universities in Thailand and educational centers in Mekong sub-region. Khon University's strategic goal is to be recognized both internationally and regionally as a leading university in research, has a vision to be world-class research universities, and with ideologies, social devotions. Khon University currently has more than 40,000 students study in 26 faculties and colleges, and 1 satellite campus. Also, I am particularly honored that this conference has a special privilege to welcome an honorable special address on Thailand 4.0 by Dr. Suwitmee Sinsi, Minister attached to the Prime Minister Office, and keynote speaker on leading the new urbanisms by Mr. Charlie Haas, former Portland Majors, the 52nd Majors of Portland, Oregon, United States. I'm certain that we will learn tremendous amount from their speech. I hope you have a time during your visit to Thailand to develop some friendships among the people from other areas of the world. We are truly in connected world, so it is critical that we learn from each other and we work together. Enjoy your visit to unique cultural and historical area of Thailand, the northeast of Thailand, or we call Isan. Enjoy your conference, your visit to Khon University and to Thailand. We all hope to see you again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Associate Professor Kritichai. Next, I would like to invite Associate Professor Pirasit Kamnuansin, the former Dean of KOLA and the founder of KOLA actually, who currently serves as an advisor to the Dean, particularly on matters related to research and international affairs, to talk about the conference as he is the head of the organizing team for this conference.
Consul of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Lee Min Kang. Consul of the Laos People's Republic, Mr. Bun Si Wong Bua Si. Minister of the Office of the Prime Minister, Dr. Suwitmee Sinsi. President of KKU, Dr. Kitichai Tailatana Silichai. Dean of the College of Local Administration, Dr. Supatwatanakon Wongtanavasu. Please allow me to add my warm welcome to all the participants. I especially would like to thank our institutional sponsor that provided major financial support. The institutions and persons who have made this conference possible are the School of Management, Lanzhou University, the Mark O. Hatfield School of Government at Portland State University, Thailand Research Fund, Khon Kaen Municipality, Khon Kaen City Development, Waseda University, the National Science and Technology Development Agency. I especially want to thank Dean Supawattanakon Wongtanavasu and her staff at the College of Local Administration for her support throughout the planning process. Without their diligent efforts over many hours, this conference would not have even been attempted. Last, but by no means least, our most heartfelt gratitude goes to Mr. Georg Gaffron and the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung Thailand office for underwriting the cost of the attendance of Mr. Charlie Hales, former mayor of Portland, Oregon, and his wife, Nancy Hales, director of First Stop Portland. The International Conference on Local Government Performance Management and Leadership is a biannual event designed to focus on government innovation that foster institutions and trust and accountability while promoting sustainable solutions. The 2009 conference was hosted by the School of Management at Lanzhou University. The 2011 conference was hosted by the Mark O. Hatfield School of Government at Portland State University, Oregon, USA. The 2013 conference was hosted by Waseda University in Tokyo, Japan. The 2015 conference was again hosted by Lancho University. We at COLA attended the 2015 conference for the first time. This year, COLA is proud to host the 5th International Conference on Government Performance Management and Leadership, allowing scholars and practitioners in the field of performance management to present their work on topical areas related to government performance. And the theme this year is toward smart growth and sustainable solutions. With that brief overview, it is my pleasure to introduce Dean Paul Gang-Xian from the School of Management in Lancho University to come up here and present his short remarks on the conference. Dean Bao, please.
Thank you.各位嘉宾、各位专家、各位朋友、女士们、先生们，大家早上好。2年一度的政府绩效管理与绩效领导国际学术会议已经10年了。今天在美丽而享有崇高声誉的泰国孔敬大学召开第5次会议，意义重大。一是从2009年起，这一学术会议把全球，特别是亚洲和美洲的绩效专家与实践者联系起来。
Good morning, distinguished guests and dear friends. It is our pleasure to participate in the 5th International Conference on Government Performance and Leadership. It is a great honor for us to participate the conference here at Kaen University. I would like to say the biannual conference is an opportunity for us to bring together practitioners as well as scholars from all over the world.
对政府绩效这一共同关注的问题进行研究和实践，在近10年已经产生了大量的成果，且对未来的学术方向和政府变革探索出一个新的路径，意义重大。
Our conference brought together practitioners and scholars to discuss the hot issues around the world. And I would like to say in the past 10 years, the conference and the scholars and practitioners have already done amazing. We have already achieved a lot in terms of government performance and related research.
20-10年来，我们依然对这一主题兴趣不减，表现出了极大的生命力，源自其已经超越了政府及公共组织的视野，而成为社会共同关注的话题。政府绩效不管从所依、所归以及产生的机制，都超越了古典公共行政、传统的公共行政和新公共管理的研究范畴。
Also, in the last already 10 years passed, but we're still very enthusiastic about the topic of government performance and leadership because it is always very important to do research and to improve our practice in this area. And I would like to say our current research and practice have already far beyond the classical research on government performance.
它已经有了新的内涵，成为治理的一种新范式。我想今年会议主题迈向智慧增长与可持续发展路径，就体现了这一新范式的追求。
Also, I believe our research and practice in the government performance already set up a new paradigm, and especially the theme of this year's conference, Smart Growth and Sustainable Development, will set up a good example for the research.
面对全球化的挫折，全球增长低迷及不平衡的区域以及社会变革中所遇见的前所未有的冲突和困境，应用争论大政府与小政府、结果导向与过程控制、服务角色与守夜人职能，已经不能解决这个问题。
Currently, we are facing a lot of challenges. The imbalanced economic development, whether we should have big government or small government, and what we should do in government performance. All these are issues we need to do more research.
历史并未终结，治理及能力的提升，不管是对于一个领导者，还是国家和全球而言，都是摆在我们面前的一个根本问题。
How to improve the government performance and leadership is not only an issue for leaders, but also an issue for all government agencies, locally and internationally.
经过10年，我们已经培养出一大批从事政府绩效研究的学术后备力量，有了学科的支撑，得到了政府及社会的广泛认同。这也是这一学术领域的前途所在。
In the past 10 years, through the conferences, we have already raised the awareness in this area, and I believe we also have already cultivated a new generation of scholars who are interested in this area.
今天我们将要针对未来的一种讨论，包括问题、理论和方法，以及解决实际问题的一些方案。
Today we will be talking issues that challenges all around the world, and I believe we are going to focus not only on theories and scholarly aspect of those issues, but also on the practicing side.
相信在大家的共同努力下，会取得预期的成果。
I believe under our joint effort, our conference will be a successful one.
在这里我要代表兰州大学管理学院、中国政府绩效管理研究中心表示对会议的祝贺，特别感谢孔敬大学地方公共行政学院的施宝旺院长、Pava City 主席及其他的团队对这次会议筹备所做出的贡献。
On behalf of Lanzhou University School of Management, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to KOLA and to Kaen University to host this wonderful conference.
也要感谢美国塔蒙教授、摩根教授、凯瑟琳主任和中国的何鸿燊院长、王学军、郎梅博士为会议顺利召开所做出的努力。
I also would like to give my thanks to the delegation from Hatfield School at Portland State University, as well as to my team at Lanzhou University. Mr. Wensheng He, the Dean of the School of Management, Mr. Xujun Wang, and Dr. Mei Long. They have put great effort to make make sure this is a great success.
当然，要特别感谢各位专家、各位代表对会议的持续关心和支持，你们才是这一会议10年持续进行的真正动力。
Of course, I would like to give my sincere thanks to all the participants, the scholars and the practitioners as well, because I believe you are the driving force behind the conference, and you are also the reason why our conferences have been a success in the last 10 years.
最后预祝会议圆满成功，谢谢小梅的翻译，谢谢。
Last but not least, I would like to say I believe this conference will be a huge success. Thank you all.
谢谢。
It is. I would like to next introduce Mr. Phil Kisling, Director of the Center of Public Service at Portland State University. Will you please come up here, please?
Dean Periseth, thank you. Like many important movements that aim to make our world better and even transform it, this one began with a very small moment. Dean Bao, nearly a decade ago, sent an email to dozens of his counterparts around the world expressing an interest to work together on important issues of government performance management and leadership. And he got one response from Ron Tamman, director of the Hatfield School of Government, and an esteemed colleague who will speak a little later this morning, who said, "I understand why this is important." That led to the first conference in 2009 in Lanzhou. In 2011, I was honored, had the privilege to organize the conference at Portland State, and since then, we of course have had conferences at Waseda University, Lanzhou again, and now Kaen University. And this conference has a record number of participants, I think nearly 170, representing over a dozen countries. And I want to say that the reception that we have gotten and the care that has been taken, and not just on the organizing committee, but the dozens of staff and students and members of the community that have helped us, I'd like to give them a warm round of applause for everything they have done. They have been magnificent. And of course, what's important is how this movement continues to grow and expand with new people stepping forward. From Seoul National University in the Republic of Korea, friends at the University of Economics in Ho Chi Minh City, the University of Otago in New Zealand, from the United States, VMI, Roger Williams, and the list goes on, because this is a very inclusive movement, one that welcomes any and all who are interested in the importance of this topic. And this topic of government performance management and leadership is more important than ever. The trust in and the legitimacy of our public service organizations and institutions is an essential ingredient of making progress in a difficult and challenging world. And there is recognition in this movement that no single sector does it alone. Yes, it depends, and at the core is the research-informed, evidence-based, but also practice-oriented work that our scholars and researchers from our important universities do. But it is also the world of practitioners. It is also the world of the private sector, exemplified today by the support of KKTT right here in Khon. We come at this movement from very different places, from the world of the academy, from the world of the private sector, from the world of practice. That's my world. I was an elected official in my state of Oregon for a number of years and come at it from that perspective. But all of these perspectives are essential for knitting together, making the progress we aspire to, and making sure that this movement that started with that one email nearly a decade ago, each and every year since continues to grow and prosper as well. So thank you again, you and your associates at Khon and all of you, for being part of something that not only is great, it is very, very important for us and the countries that we are from, but also, I think, important to the entire world. Thank you very much.
It is my great pleasure now to ask Mr. Georg Gaffron of the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung to come here and say a few words.
I learned the whole night, excuse me for this, so wati cup. It was my first Thai language, and thank you for you that supported me on this. It's my second or fourth day in Thailand. I'm the new representative to Thailand from the Konrad Adenauer Foundation in Berlin, Germany, and we have a long time partnership together. I learned this many years. Also, we support many years this conference, and it's an honor for me to say some words to you, and I'm impressed again to hear it's the real true thing in the world. Every way starts with the first step, and this first step was this email a couple of years ago, and you see what's growing up, and this is in all parts of our life. We have to put together step by step, and after this, after a while we have big road we can create it together, and I'm very glad to be here, to learn from you, to listen, and to take some knowledge back. And I'm little bit surprised what's going on in our world. This is 13,000 kilometers far away from me, my place, Berlin, Germany. And we discussed the same questions. What will be the future of people? What can we do in the entire world to make a better world? To live together, especially the items today. What will be the future of the big cities? The big cities are the future, but they have to be a place to like to live in. And there's a lot of questions. And time is running more fast than we always expect. And this means every day we have to work. Only small pieces too, we can't do anything, you know. The foundation works in 144 countries in the world. And this means in many places like this, people sit together. And this is a sign of hope, you know, with the same mind. Sometimes different views, different problems, and everybody has his own life, his own castle, you know what I mean. But we have one common sense, to build the world better, live better together, be friends, and don't have arguments and conflicts. And if would like to say, we will continue our work with you, but first of all, I have to learn from you, to listen and take this knowledge home to my country and give them this, say, this in the world, they are also very smart and very tough, and we have to do things together. Thank you very much for the invitation, and I look forward to a wonderful day of, together. Thank you.
And now, it is my great pleasure to invite the Dean of the College of Local Administration, Dr. Supavatanakorn Wongtanavasu, without whose support the conference could not have been even attempted. Dean Supavatanakorn, would you please come up here?
On behalf of faculty and staff of the College of Local Administration of Khon Kaen University, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our campus. I want to thank you for participating. I would also like to thank our sponsors, the City of Khon Kaen University, College Undernow Foundation, Portland, Thailand Research Fund, and the NASDA, and others who made the conference possible. These conferences are vitally important since they bring together government, academia, and the private sector to learn how to these phases of society collaborate for the benefit of all citizens. I hope that you all learn something here that you can take back to your organization and improve the performance of government in your own countries. I also hope that you are able to develop friendship that lead to collaborations between your institutions and organizations and those of other countries, thus furthering international cooperation, something that is much needed in today's need. Again, thank you for your participation and enjoy the conference. ขอบคุณค่ะ
Now, I cannot leave the podium here without, again, thanks all the participants, all the sponsor, all my mentor, my respected person, and I hope you all have a pleasant stay here and that we have learned together and that our future be bright. We together can build a better world, a better place to live for all of us here. Thank you.
The program has now come to the opening remark session. It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Suvit Mesinsi, Minister of the Office of Prime Minister. Minister Suvit is the key person behind Thailand 4.0, an economic model that aims to unlock Thailand from several economic challenges and to promote sustainable and smart growth. He is an excellent position in connect the aims of Thailand 4.0 with the theme of the conference. I therefore would like to ask you to join me to welcome Dr. Suvit Mesinsi to deliver the opening remarks for the conference.
Hello. Consul General of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Lee Mingkang. Consul General of the Laos People's Republic, Mr. Bunsi Wongbuasi. Khon Kaen University President, Dr. Kitichai Tairatana Sirichai. Deputy Mayor of Khon Kaen Municipality, Mr. Julanop Thong Sopit, former Mayor of Portland, Oregon, Mr. Charlie Hells, distinguished guests and participants. It gives me great pleasure to extend to you all a very warm welcome on behalf of Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and the people of Thailand. As you know, the government's performance is the critical important factor for moving a country forward. Without the high performance government, the country cannot achieve its goal. For example, in Thailand, our goal is to achieve sustainability, security, and prosperity. This is the reason why our government is working heavily on the national reform, especially on the government reforms, focusing on regulatory and administrative reform. For this year's conference, under the Smart Growth and Sustainable Solution theme, we have participants from many ASEAN and Pacific Rim countries, all coming together to share their knowledge about optimizing government performance and management. You will learn about methods and practices from the national government level down to the local government levels. Those who will share the lessons they have learned include practitioners, scholars, and students from a number of disciplines. I hope you will have a wonderful time here. There are two reasons I'm here today. First is to welcome you and to let you know that the people of Thailand are proud to have an organization such as the College of Local Administration, or KOLA, at Khon University, as we know for it, that have become the center of the government, the local government excellence in Northeast Thailand. And though its collaboration with many institutions throughout the world is enjoying increased recognition throughout Thailand. This conference is yet another indicator of the concern KOLA and KKU have about the local, national, and international communities. The second reason I'm delighted to be here is to let you know about Thailand 4.0, which is the new developmental models. I would like to talk about focusing in the context of the government performance, management, and leaderships. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we know that turning from the 20th century toward the 21st century provides a new set of opportunities, a new set of threats, a new set of challenges, as well as the new set of capabilities. So Thailand, for example, we got a lot of lessons learned from the past. We are now facing with at least 3 major traps. It's a developmental traps. The first trap is called the middle income traps. The second trap is the inequality traps. The gaps between the rich and the poor is wider and wider. And the third one is about the imbalance trap. We focusing on the economic growth at the expenses of the social well-being, at the expenses of the environmental wellness, as well as at the expenses of the human wisdom. So it's very expensive for us. This is why what we really need, and this is regarding to the government performance, management, and leaderships, is we have to think about the strategic transformation starting from the national level down to the community level. And we developed the new model so-called Thailand 4.0. And Thailand 4.0 actually is starting from reconsidering the developmental paradigm in the past. What I like to share with you is that the past Thailand development paradigm was focused on the economic growth. We based on some assumptions, we based on some belief. First is beforehand we think that the bigger the better. Beforehand we think that the more the better. And beforehand we think that the faster the better. But we got the negative consequences from this belief. What we face is that we stay away from the nature. Moreover, we also stay away from others. And we also live far away from human being. So it's a wider gap in various dimensions. This is the reason why we think that is not the right developmental paradigm for Thailand, particularly if you would like to thrive in the 21st century. We're facing with three imbalances. The first one is the imbalance between humans and nature, so we end up with unsustainability. Moreover, we are also facing with the imbalance between human and humans, and this is the reason why that I just mentioned, we got a wider gaps of inequality, and the same for human and technology. And we come up with a huge disparity between human and technology. So put it this way, under the existing developmental paradigm in Thailand, we are facing two challenges. First is about imbalance, but the second is about the disintegration among our people. This is the reason why we now crafting the new developmental model, so-called Thailand 4.0. The key focus or the starting point is come from, we should have the right developmental paradigm. We call it thriving in balance. Beforehand, we're focusing on economic growth. Now we have to shift our paradigm from economic growth to thriving in balance. What does it mean? It means that instead of, based on the wrong assumption that the bigger, the better, now we think that it should be better first. If you get better, then you will get bigger. The same for the more, the better. We have a kind of concept reversal. We think that it should be the better, the more, and also the faster, the better. Under, all these things is under the management concept of economy of scale, economy of scope, economy of speed. But now we think that we got a lot of lesson learned, and it's very, it's very expensive for Thailand. This is why we think that we should shift our focus from, economic growth to thriving in balance, and we believe in the better, the bigger, the better, the more, and the better, the faster. And based on this, I think this is what we actually, we already have the concept. Is a grand concept, so-called sufficiency economy from our late King Rama IX. So the Thailand 4.0 is starting from, shifting the paradigm towards what we call the balanced development by adopting sufficiency economy philosophy. The ultimate goal is to rebalancing between human and nature, between human and human, and also between human and technology. So this is our ultimate goal under Thailand 4.0. Starting from the right developmental paradigm, then we think about what should be the new developmental model for Thailand in the next decades. So this is the new concept, so-called the value-based economy. The value-based economy is drawing from the past lesson learned that we have in the past, but as well as the best practices from outside, from the rest of the world. And we think that, in order to avoid or escape from the imbalance trap, we need to embed the new growth engine, so-called regenerative growth engine. And make it to be real, the regenerative growth engine is translated into what we call the circular economy. And by doing that, we have a strong belief that we can achieve our goals of rebalancing the human and nature. The same for the second trap that we faced is the inequality trap. So we need to embed the inclusive growth engine. And by building what we call the distributive or inclusive economy in the system. And by doing so, I think we can rebalance the gaps between human and human. The same for the third one. We have a huge gaps. It's a gap that make us cannot, becoming the first world country. We still stuck in the middle. We still, facing with the middle income trap. So what we really need is to embed the productive growth engine by translating into, our economy, the whole economy, the region, the city, the community into the innovation-driven economy, and in order to achieve the rebalancing between human and technology. So this is one of, I think it's a very ambitious goal of Thailand 4.0. We like to become the first world nation, but it's a first world nation with prosperity, with stability, as well as with sustainability. And by building or crafting the three new economy, so-called the circular economy, the distributive economy, and the innovative driven economy, then we think that we can achieve the government vision or our Prime Minister vision towards sustainability, towards stability as well as prosperity. So this is the key concept of Thailand 4.0. But Thailand 4.0, by adopting the sufficiency economy of our late King Rama IX, actually is, we melt down into two strategic thrusts. The first strategic thrust is called strength from within, and the second strategic thrust is called connecting to the world. Because Thailand is an open but small country, so we need to open to the world. But we need to open the world while we still have a strength within. We have to be stronger enough in order to deal with exploiting the opportunity and neutralizing the threat from the global dynamics. So this, by this true strategic trust, we translate this into action. So I think the building blocks of Thailand 4.0 actually is comprise 6 building boxes. The first one is to try in the 21st century, you need to be innovative enough. So the first one is called innovation-driven proposition. But innovation cannot be happen without creating the entrepreneurial spirit, entrepreneurial society. So this is the second proposition, is that we need to enhance or create the entrepreneurial society in order to that will enable many innovative idea and translate from innovative idea into innovative product or innovative business model. But the most important thing is not just creating the entrepreneurial society, but you have to empowering the people. So if we can embed the innovative environment and creating the environmental spirit and entrepreneurial spirit in the context of communities. The community here is not just the local communities like the village, but it's starting from the village to, in Thailand we call Tambon, Ampere is a district, and up to the provincial level. But Thailand is not stopped at the provincial level. We have 77 provinces, but we regroup it into 18 cluster province. And now we also have the regional, we have 6 regions in Thailand. So now under the national, we're starting from the national strategy down to the regional strategy, down to the cluster provincial strategy, and then the provincial strategy down to the community level strategy. So this is a very important thing. This is why COLA, I think, play a vital role in order to knitting all this level together. I think this is the topic that you mentioned this year about the government performance, management and leadership is very important. And so I think for Thailand, we should apply it, ranging from the national level down to the village level. So this is 3 building blocks under strength from within. We also, as I just said, that we are in the connected world. So what we have to do is how can you knitting all things together and put it starting from the domestic economy. But domestic economy is not enough. Now we are talking about not just about Thai and Laos or Thai and China or Thai and Myanmar, but we are talking about Luang Prabang and Khon Kaen. We are talking about Yunnan and Khon Kaen. So it's not about nation to nation, but it's about city to city. It's about community to community. So we need to have an open mind. So we need to extending ourselves from instead of focusing only on the domestic economy. Now we should extend it into the regional as well as the global economy. So based on this thing, I think this is the 6 building blocks and under true strategic trust of Thailand 4.0. This is, I think, is relevant to the mission of COLA and also is relevant to the theme of this year under what they call the smart growth and sustainable solution. So this is based on this 2 strategic trust. The question is that Thailand 4.0, Thailand itself cannot stay alone. Thailand itself, we should, position ourselves in the global communities. So we should hand in hand, we should be a part of that creating the better world with other countries. This is the reason why we have to put Thailand 4.0 in the global context. So how can we translate it? We have an ultimate goal of Thailand 4.0 to achieve sustainability, stability, and prosperity. If you have a chance or someone have a chance to hear our Prime Minister when he have a chance to talk to at the UN forum or any other country, he always mentions about these 3 things. The first one is Thailand should go hand in hand with other countries to achieve these 3 things. The first one is secure peace. The second one is save our planet. And the third one is share prosperity. I think now we are facing with many global challenges. For example, like climate change, like terrorism, like the traffic, or any kind of the pandemic diseases or any other thing else. So this is the reason why setting up the goals in the global context is very important. So this is the starting point for Thailand 4.0 in the context of global context. We are talking about these 3 things. How can we, crafting our national strategy in line with secure peace, in line with save the planet, in line with share prosperity with other countries. But we have to translate it. We have to translate it into action, because the 3 S, secure peace, save the planet, or share prosperity is the global context. It's a macro level global context. But we have to translate into action. So we boil down into what we call, everything is starting not just at the national level. We have to starting at the city, at the community, at the region. So I think the most important concept is how to make a smart city, how to make a smart communities, how to make a smart region, in addition to how to make a smart nation. So I think the 3 ingredients or 3 major components are as follows. The first one, everything is about people. So the question is how, if you like to make, for example, a Khon Kaen as a smart city, the most important thing is how to make your people more productive, how to make a smart people. So this is the first challenge for making the smart city. But the second one, every people in going together in the same place. The second question is how to make the place more attractive. Now I think all the place in the world, from city to city, there are now not just only cooperative with each other, they also compete with each other as well. They are like to be the place to live, the place to travel, the place to shop, the place to learn, and any other things. So this is the reason why, as a leaders, you have to think about how not just only make your people more productive, but you also have to make the place more attractive. And the third one, you have to create the wealth of the place, the wealth of the smart city. So it's about the product. The questions or the challenge is how to, make the product more competitive. So I think this is a three combination together, form a smart city. When we talk about smart city, we always talking about the infrastructure. We always talk about the Internet of Things. We also, I think that is the necessary condition. But the most important thing, the sufficient condition to make the smart city, I think is a base. These three basic building blocks, like the attractive place, like the productive people, as well as the competitive products or services from the place. So I think all these three combinations together then turn out to be, a smart city. We are talking about the smart government, we are talking about the smart living, talking about the smart mobility, talking about the smart people, talking about the smart economy. So I think these are the things that we should, how can we start with the right developmental paradigm and come up with the right conceptual framework and down to the mechanism, the mechanism to make the smart city come true. So the last one that I would like to address here is that we're starting Thailand 4.0 is starting from the right developmental paradigm, then translate into the right developmental model. But the key challenge is about execution. I think everything, the problem is not about the conceptual framework, but it's about how to make it happen, particularly in the 21st century world. So what I like to propose here is that, the topic so-called government performance, management and leadership is not by the government alone. I think now we need the collaboration. Like, the professor from Michigan, Professor C.K. Parat once said, the future of competition is collaboration. So we need to work hand in hand together between three sectors: the public sector, the government, the public sector, the private sector, as well as the people sector. So I think these three constructs are very important from now on, and I think it will increasing its role in the near future. The first one is empowerment. Now, beforehand, in the past century, we are talking about the government failures on one hand, so we need the private sector, and we also talking about the market failure on the other hand, so we need the government sectors. I think, now we are facing with the age of extremity, we are facing with the age of paradox, we are facing with the age of disruption. So I think the division labor, like, is a clear-cut division of labor between government on one hand and the private sector on the other hand. I think it's not work in the 21st century. So we need to think about, the government itself, how to empower something, delegate something, devolve some activity to other sector, to the private sector, to the people sector, via what we call the people empowerment. But the second one is not just only empower by delegate to them, but for some challenges, issues, you need a collaboration between hand in hand between the government and other sector. So the collaboration is other construct that increasing its role in the near future. The third one is about partnership. So based on these three constructs, under the concept so-called collaborative model, I propose the new collaborative model under Thailand 4.0, as shown in the slide. We still have something to do in the public sector. We still have something to do in the private sector, in the citizen sector. But to exploit the new opportunity and neutralizing the threat in the near future in the 21st century, to thrive in the 21st century, for some initiative or some challenges, you need a collaboration between the private and the private and the public sector under the name of public-private partnership or PPP. The same for the public sector. Someone just mentioned about the size of the government. Is the big government is good or if the small government is good? I think this is the key issue. So I think in the near future, many challenges and issues come from bottom up. So you need what we call the local proximity. You need to have a rapid responsive capacity. In order to do that, you need to empower the citizen sector. Otherwise, you need to form what we call the third sector. It's a new hybrid model combining the public and the citizen sector together and trying to fix the problem and, in order to create the, responsive capacity in the local area. The same for the enterprise, the social enterprise, that I think in the near future, we to create the better world, we need to, build not just the economic wealth, but we also have to think about the social well-being, the environmental wellness, as well as the human wisdom. So I think the new mechanism design, so-called social enterprise, may be one of the solutions to achieve, the sustainable growth and sustainable solution that, in the area, starting from the community level, village level, up to the national level. So this is all the things that I would like to share with you under the concept so-called Thailand 4.0. And I think this is the reason why that, Thailand 4.0, even though is initiated by our Prime Minister, but the key success factor of Thailand 4.0 is two things. The first is we need to, work hand in hand between the private, public, and people sector. But the second most important thing is that we need to have a, collaboration, not just in the local collaborations, collaborative network, but the most important thing to make Thailand 4.0 come true is about global collaborative network. And in order to achieve the objective of saving the planet, to sharing the prosperity, as well as to securing the peace for the global community at last. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Suwit. As a token of our appreciation, may I call upon Associate Professor Supha Wattanakorn, Dean of KOLA, to kindly present a gift to Minister Suwit. Thank you, Dean Supha Wattanakorn. May I also request Minister Suwit to remain on the stage and kindly present plaque of appreciation to co-hosts and sponsor for this conference: Khon University, Lancho University, Waseda University, Konrad Adenauer, Khon think tank, Thailand Research Fund, and Pongsawan Group from Laos as well. First of all, may I call upon Associate Professor Kittichai Trairatana Sirichai, President of Khon Kaen University, to be on the stage on behalf of Khon Kaen University. And next, Professor Bao Gaoxian from School of Management, Lanzhou University, China. And then please, may I call upon Mr. Phil Kisling from Portland State University, sorry. Next, may I call upon Associate Professor Kita Tsutomu to receive the plaque of appreciation on behalf of Waseda University, Japan. Next, may I call upon Mr. Gaffron to receive the plaque of appreciation on behalf of Konrad Adenauer, Germany. Next, may I call upon Mr. Gangwan Lau Virojanakun, co-founder of KKTT. May I call upon Mr. Julanop Thong Sopit, Deputy Mayor of Khon Kaen Municipality, to receive the plaque of appreciation on behalf of Khon Kaen City. May I call upon Dr. Ot Pongsawan, Chair of Pongsawan Group, our important partner from Laos. And also, may I also call upon Associate Professor Pun Tieng Burana Tham as a representative of Thailand Research Fund. He is a project director for Smart City Development in Thailand through Social Enterprise Network for City Development. Thank you. Thank you, the Minister, and all co-hosts and sponsors. We hope to continue our close relationship with you and working together towards smart and sustainable Thailand in the future. And we're going to have a photo taken together to mark the important occasion today at Kola. Sorry that our staff might be quite bossy today. We want to have a good picture And may I also, after this, invite all the distinguished guests to join them on the stage and have a photo taken. Please, former mayor from Portland State, and Mrs. Nancy Hales as well, please. Dr. Pirasit, Dr. Ron Tamman, please. And consulars as well, please. Consular from China also, Laos, please. And the Deputy Chief Police as well, thank you. Thank you, sir. And also deans from other faculties here from Khon Kaen University, please. May we have an honor? This is a remarkable moment. We probably really hard to get all of these important people together at one place. So I wouldn't let this go. We're going to have photo taken as many as we wanted today. And the challenge would be at the photographers up there because it's quite a long line. Don't miss anyone, please. And please accept our apologies if I missed to mention any names today, because we have so many partners that come in and join us today. It's a real honor to welcome you to the conference. Right, thank you very much. Can I please again have a big round of applause? Right, the next program would be the performance from our neighboring faculty here at Khon Kaen University, Faculty of Fine and Applied Art. As you know, Khon Kaen is a major city in the northeast region, or so-called Isan. We are proud of our local culture, which is unique and ethnic Lao influence. We therefore think it is appropriate today to present you a show, a contemporary Thai folk dance by student from Khon Kaen University here, as I said, the Faculty of Fine and Applied Arts. The show tells a local story about serpents. Locals believe serpents represent greatness, good fortune, and fertility, which is quite different from the myth in the West, I would say. Because sometimes in the West, when you say serpents, it represents devil. But in the northeast of Thailand, we actually see greatness in serpents. So the show tells the story of serpents playing in a lake, and their tails hit Khao Prasumen, or a mountain that Buddhists believe to be the mountain located at the center of the universe, in which every creature lives. Creatures like humans, animals, spirits, demons, in every lifetime. Serpents' tails smash into the mountain, causing rain in the human world. The rain represents an abundance of success, which is a blessing for this conference. So ladies and gentlemen, please put your hand together for the show Nak Fat Nak Fat.
อันเทวาแทนฟ้าพญาใหญ่เรื่องสวรรค์ได้รับสารดันสำคัญเมืองมนุษย์น้อว่าเขาสักการะที่ก้อนเขาบัง
you. Thank you, the students from Faculty of Fine and Applied Arts. Wasn't too bad, wasn't it? Contemporary Thai dance. Our guest from overseas last night has had a good experience with the entertainments, with the Thai traditional dance last night. So today, this is the combination you would see. It's not too slow like last night, because Isan is well known for quite fun traditional kind of performance. Right, so next, what do I have on my program? Next program, well, we're moving to the speakers from the US. I would like to invite Professor Ronald Tamman from Portland State University to say a few words and introduce our keynote speaker from the US. Please welcome Professor Tamman.
One half of the world's population now lives in cities. Or if you put this a different way, for the first time in human history, we live in an urban world rather than a rural world. By 2030, there will be 660 cities with 1 million people or more in the world. Right now, there are 9 cities of more than 1 million people in the United States. So what does this tell us? This tells us that the growth is not going to be coming from the West. This is an Asian-driven phenomenon. By 2025, more than 1/2 of the world's urban population, 2.5 billion people, will live in Asian cities. This means that 60 to 70 million people will be added to the urban population of the world every year for the next 30 years. So what do we take away from this? These facts do not demand good leadership. Do not demand good leadership. These facts do not even demand great leadership, nor excellent leadership. These facts demand extraordinary leaders, like the 2 leaders we are graced with today, Charlie and Nancy Hales. As the cities around the world grow, new pressures are levied on local governments to both accommodate and innovate in ways not previously considered. Growth in cities now implores leaders to ask new questions about land use, transportation, carbon, density, green spaces, economic resilience. How cities grow well is a vastly more complex proposition today, requiring bold new solutions. Conference keynote speaker Charlie Hales has been leading the successful smart growth movement, both in his own city of Portland, Oregon, and in cities around the world. As a city commissioner responsible for land use and transportation, as a senior executive in a consulting engineering firm designing public infrastructure, and recently, luckily for us, as our mayor of Portland, one of the world's most sustainable cities, Charlie knows that the staggering challenges and imperatives faced by government managers and executives to reshape their cities of the future. Joining us here today is also Charlie's spouse, Nancy Hales. Nancy is no fill-in second speaker today. She could just as well and often is the number one, the primary speaker at audiences like this throughout the world. She's not only the president and CEO of a major philanthropic organization, but she was the director of First Stop Portland, an innovative, knowledge-transferring organization that is unique in the world. Charlie and Nancy have been thinking about smart growth through the lens of design and planning and governance in public-private partnerships, and most importantly, leadership for decades, although they don't look like they could have been working for decades, either of them. As an elected official and a private sector consultant, Charlie Hales has been at the forefront of this movement. As a leader of unique knowledge exchange programs, Nancy Hales has nurtured the sharing of ideas and city successes across every inhabited continent in the world. I never fail to learn something important, when I talk with Charlie or Nancy. And I'm going to bet that neither will you. Please welcome first the mayor of Portland, Oregon, Charlie Hales.
Sawadee Krap. Thank you so much, Dr. Tammen, and thank you all, Kaen University sponsors, friends, distinguished colleagues. This is a very, very important discussion, and we are very pleased, Nancy and I, to be in it with you. I want to make sure I understand the slide clicker. Yes, I do. Good. This discussion, this collaboration between government, academic, and business leaders is extremely valuable, and the challenges are very urgent. The world is, as Dr. Tammen said, moving to cities, to Khon, to other Thai and other Asian cities, and across the world. We are in an increasingly urban world where the majority of people, economic activity, and carbon generation is happening in cities. But this is not an inevitable march of progress. As Minister Suet said, there are traps of unsustainable growth that we must avoid. There are big questions that you as leaders and as public administrators must work together to answer. One, can we improve the performance of cities in the face of these challenges? Can we get better at what cities do? Can we move more quickly than government usually does because of the urgency of these challenges? Can we innovate and improve at a faster pace because the times demand that speed? Should I put that up? Better? There we go. Can we outgrow the old idea that national governments are the senior government and local governments are the junior government? That idea no longer is helpful. Again, at a time where economic activity and progress will occur or not occur in cities, national and local governments must work together as partners rather than as senior and junior. That is the economic and demographic reality. My city, I am proud to say, has gotten some things right at this time where if we get cities right, we get the future right. Portland has done some things right, and we have been honored, not only here today, but to have been recognized around the world. When Pope Francis published his encyclical on climate change, Laudato Si', on climate change and human suffering, he invited not 50 environment ministers from national governments, but 50 mayors from around the world to come to the Vatican to talk about how to make these ideas real in our world. And I was honored to be one of those mayors. When the C40 organization of 93 cities around the world with climate action plans decided to honor the best climate action plan in the world last year, they honored our city, and I'm very proud of that. In fact, we brought some booklets that are outside on the table if you're interested in that movement among cities towards climate action. So I will tell you some stories about Portland, and I hope you enjoy them. But your takeaway from those stories, I hope, will not be that Portland is unique, that our experience is so special and so different from other cities. That's not what I believe. Portland was an unremarkable city, an ordinary place that has become extraordinary by the application of 3 principles that I think, if followed, will positively affect any city. First, and it's why you're so important to be here, the power of ideas. The power of ideas. Finding good ones, often by stealing them from other cities. In the U.S. Conference of Mayors, we say we want all mayors to be thieves. We want them to steal good ideas from each other. That is permitted. That is legal. Steal good ideas. Find them, borrow them, steal them, bring them to your city. And of course, find the bad ideas and oppose them. Not all ideas are good. So first and most important is that power of ideas. Secondly is the importance of partnerships. As we've already heard here today, and you'll see in these stories of Portland, very little happens by any one of these partners or leaders alone. Business alone can solve few problems. Citizens alone can solve few problems. Government alone, likewise. Third, the quality of persistence. Taking the time to try it and try it and try it again. Take the long view, even while always looking for the opportunity to make your vision happen. Sometimes things take longer than they should, but if it is the right idea, and if you have the right partners, if you persevere, you will make the good thing happen. So let me take you on a quick tour of my city over time and talk about some of these themes in the context of what has happened in Portland. Portland is a young city. It's located on the west coast of the United States along a great river, the Columbia, and was settled by non-indigenous people. People like me and my ancestors started coming to Portland in the 1850s. By the late years of the 1800s, the city was starting to grow into a bustling commerce and agriculture center, something like Kaen. There was rich farmland nearby. This is where the farm products were loaded onto the ships and taken to the rest of the world. So by the late 1800s, Portland was growing, it was booming, and people were starting to shape the fabric of the city and the lifestyle that people would live there. In 1905, Portland hosted a world exposition, and the growth accelerated. Many of us live in homes that were built in those early 1900s years because it was a boom time for Portland. And of course, you can see by the streets, it's starting to get crowded. Most people are walking, some are still using horses, and of course, electric streetcars, a good idea that was started in Richmond, Virginia, and moved all over the United States. Streetcars were all over Portland in those years. In those early years in the 1900s, another good idea. We decided to plan for a park system for a great city. We didn't come up with that idea on our own. We heard that one of the greatest landscape architects in the United States, John Charles Olmsted, the stepson of the man who designed Central Park, was doing a parks plan for Seattle. And we said, while you're in the neighborhood, could you perhaps come to Portland and do this work? And in fact, a parks board, something like these social enterprises of Khon think tank or Samut Sakon city development, this parks board of business leaders in the city invited Mr. Olmsted to come to Portland and plan a parks plan. Good idea. But the city was growing so fast and budgets were so tight that they actually didn't do much with this plan in the first few years. The mayor at the time said, we can't afford this. And so very little happened for the first few years of that parks plan. It was a good plan, but it took a while to get started. By the post-war years, Portland was booming even more, and the big issue of our future and the shape of our growth was beginning to become clear. We still had the streetcars. We were still a walkable urbanism, but the automobile was becoming extremely dominant. This is true all across the United States and, of course, in many parts of the world. The automobile was a powerful force, and the vision of the good life was living far from the city center, on a lot with plenty of room, and with your neighbors not too close, and driving everywhere. That vision took over the United States in the middle part of the last century. This is a postcard from the 1950s in Portland. It says, "Be careful crossing the street in Portland." In other words, there's so much traffic that if you still tried to walk in the downtown, you were taking your life into your hands. Again, not an unusual case. Portland was pretty much like all other American cities, almost all of which did this. Took their streetcars to the edge of town, burned them, and replaced them with, in some cases, buses, but mostly with people driving. This was a conspiracy by Standard Oil, General Motors, and Firestone Tires that was later punished by a fine from the United States Department of Justice of $5,000 for tearing up and destroying the streetcar systems all across America. That has to be the best cost-benefit ratio of any crime in history. And it was true in Portland as well. We threw away a 200-mile streetcar system in the middle years of the last century. And here's the case of a bad idea. We hired Robert Moses, the man who changed forever the shape of New York City, to come and do a freeway plan for our city, with freeways running here and there all over the landscape of our neighborhoods. Fortunately, we only built a little bit of what Mr. Moses drew on his plan. This is a case where, fortunately, we didn't move quickly to build the plan. And we destroyed so much in those years in the name of the automobile. You may have noticed this building in one of the earlier photographs. It was the principal hotel in our downtown, a grand old structure. In the 1950s, it was demolished in order to build a gas station and a parking lot in the very center of our city. That wasn't the only place where this violence occurred. If you look at the slide on the right, that looks like a city after it has been bombed, but it is actually the landscape of downtown Portland in the middle years of the 1950s and into the 1960s, where many of the great old buildings had been torn down in order to accommodate parking. We failed to heed this warning from the great urbanist Lewis Mumford, who said, "Americans will soon have every way of moving around the city and no reason at all to go there." It was unfortunately very true about our city. So again, one of the myths about Portland is that we've always gotten it right. We have not. We've made great mistakes, but we have used ideas, partnership, and persistence to fix those mistakes and to chart our way to a better future. But by the 60s and 70s, downtown Portland was, some of us remember, a pretty sad place. Most of the prosperity was fleeing to the suburbs. The edges of our metropolitan area were growing, while the center of our urban core was rotting. And an idea germinated in those years with leadership, political leadership, and others saying, wait, there's only so much land. There's only so much good farmland. And cities that grow without planning, without limits, are not going to be good places. And so the idea of urban planning being a state mandate was born and enacted into law in the 1970s in our state. And this slide is a little hard to see, but it is a metropolitan area urban growth boundary. It says inside of this line, they won't have any, the farmland will be sacrificed, but we will allow development and require it to be more dense. But then there will be a line, and outside of that line, there will be farmland, preserved and continued for agricultural use into the future. And that policy has now been in place for more than 40 years, and it is very clear that it was indeed a good idea. There's a benefit to people living in cities, not just to preserving the farmland because it's beautiful, but because it gives us access to wonderful food, Portland, like Kaen, is a great food city, and we now have access to amazing, wonderful quality local food because we didn't sacrifice all of our farmland to urban growth. And so that led to this vision, and a vision shared by people who live in Portland or who have chosen, like I did, to move to Portland because I liked that vision better than where I used to live outside of Washington, D.C., to say, I want to live in a dense green city. We have an expression in the United States of people voting with their feet. I voted with my feet and walked, well, didn't walk across the country, drove across the country to Portland in order to live the way that I wanted to live. And this idea is a very powerful one of the good life in an urban neighborhood. Not that the good life is in the suburbs, but that the good life is in the city. Now, if that's an idea that's going to be widely shared, how are people going to move around? If the good life is in the city and we're all driving cars, is it still going to work? Is it still going to be a good life? The answer is no. There is not enough space in the city to accommodate all those cars. And when you think about it, the people in those cars, they don't take up that much space. And if they're on bicycles, they take up very little space. And if they're sitting together on a tram or a bus, they take up even less. So perhaps we should use our urban land intelligently as well and start to build around transit instead of around the automobile. Now, sometimes leadership is about breaking the rules. And one of the rules that was broken is that the federal government, our senior government, had money for Portland to build another highway. The leadership of our city at the time said, we really don't want to do that, and found one line of law that said they could divert those funds to build light rail. So the vehicle on the left, the white vehicle, is our regional light rail system. The first piece of that system was built by transferring money that was intended for a highway to the first light rail line. And it was a great success. And it led to the planning of a regional system that now serves our whole metropolitan area of light rail trams that connect the whole metropolitan area and allow people to live with much less use of the automobile. But the streetcar is a different story. It is a story of the city having a vision of urban life, of people choosing that dense urban lifestyle and supporting that with a transit option that allows people to never use their car at all in daily life. Now, again, don't develop the impression that this has always been happy consensus in Portland. Our regional transit agency, our equivalent of KKTS, was completely opposed to the streetcar. They said, you're distracting us. We're trying to build this regional system. Why do you want to build a little streetcar loop in the old part of the city where you have all this empty land when we have all these people to move in the region? And in fact, one of my friends at that transit agency used to call the streetcar the donkey trolley. Why are you building the donkey trolley? So we got no help from the national government, no help from the state government. We built the streetcar ourselves. And we used the streetcar to support a pattern of development in our central city that we believed that people wanted to live in, and we used it to connect institutions that we believed were our future. Portland State University itself, our medical university, Oregon Health Sciences University. If you look in this slide, you'll notice along the river there's a bunch of empty land, very close to the downtown core. The vision was that the streetcar would allow this land to develop at a much greater intensity with a much less use of energy, particularly transportation, if we used the streetcar for that leverage. Now, we also, at the same time, were thinking we would like to be a bicycle-friendly city, or at least some of us were thinking this. And again, don't develop the impression that Portland has always reached easy consensus about these things. There were protests. There were people arrested for riding their bikes where it was illegal to ride a bike in Portland. There was a group called Critical Mass that rode across the city and challenged the police officers to arrest them because they believed it should always be legal to ride a bike in a city street. It took some time for that good idea to turn into city policy, but it did. And in fact, Portland developed a bike plan that started with a very modest network and then grew it over time to a very robust bike network. This in a climate where it rains a lot, so we're not necessarily the most hospitable place to ride a bike, but many people want to, and in fact, the use of the bicycle for transportation in our city has exploded because we created a safe and complete network where people can ride their bikes. Now that streetcar, our hope, our idea was that it would foster a different form of development than that sprawling suburban development that was so common in America in the early 1990s. But we didn't actually know that it would happen. And so we built the streetcar into streets like this, and then did the planning that would allow the private sector to move that vision forward. And they did. The Portland streetcar has been the most powerful redevelopment tool in the history of our city. There's now about $12 billion worth of new development along that streetcar line that wasn't there 20 years ago. And we also used a rather innovative idea, an aerial tramway, to connect that streetcar to the Oregon Health Science University up on the top of the hill. And so these districts that were our petri dish for growth exploded in positive growth for our city. The Pearl District, which you may have heard of, and the South Waterfront. We also have used public-private partnerships to good effect. The streetcar was really advanced by a social enterprise, again, much like the ones that are here. It's called Portland Streetcar Incorporated. It was led by local business leaders with a board of directors to push and partner with city government to make this vision happen. Likewise, at our airport, we hoped to get our regional transit system to our airport, but we didn't have the funds, we didn't have the means to do it. But what we did have was some land next to the airport. So we partnered with Bechtel and 4 or 5 other local governments, the city and other governments cooperating with a private sector partner, and built both a transit-oriented development project and a 5-mile-long light rail extension to our airport. It's now very successful, and it, like the streetcar, has become a model for development across the United States. Now remember that parks plan? I said we hired this guy, he gave us a good plan, but it kind of became a shelf study, as we say. It sat on the shelf, not much happened with it for the first few years. But later, it came back to life. People kept that plan, our parks planners in the city kept that plan in their desks, even though it was now 50 years old. And when the opportunity came along to start carrying it out, some people found those opportunities. And so there was a piece of land that was condemned for unpaid taxes in the West Hills, about 1,000 hectares of land. And fortunately, the county said to the city planner, "Would you like this land?" And the planner had the good sense to say, "Yes, please." And it became a key part of what we call Forest Park, the largest urban natural area in the United States. And likewise, visionaries said, our downtown should not be a freeway, it should be a park. Remember that beautiful old Portland Hotel site that turned into a parking lot? Other visionaries, community leaders, said, let's make that a downtown square, the heart of our city. And they led the effort to make that happen. We've used those kinds of partnerships in other great parks, by the way. Another ingredient, I think, of Portland's success, and one of the reasons why I'm so excited about these social enterprises I'm hearing about here in Thailand, is that a city might not be able to shoulder the responsibility of such a complex and focused project as that downtown square, or as our Japanese garden, or like our Chinese garden, or even the strangest one of all, our motor speedway. All of these are city parks, but they're operated by social enterprises, nonprofit organizations that run those facilities for the good of all and to pay the bills. We have expanded that park system now more recently with voters saying we like this progress, we'd like to see more, and voted for additional taxes on themselves to pay for more parks across the city and more community centers. That was an effort that I led, and that frankly is one of the proudest moments of my life, was seeing the kids dive into those new pools the first time. So these are the products of those 3 principles, those principles of ideas, partnership, and persistence, that we now have a city that is an envy of many others, and where 1,000 people a month are coming to move. I was very impressed by Minister Suet's point about instead of the bigger, the better, the better, the bigger. That's exactly what's happening to Portland. We didn't set out to be the fastest growing city. We didn't set out to grow at 1,000 people a month, but 1,000 people a month are moving to our city because it is a better place. Now, I want to close by saying this isn't just the Portland story. Other cities in the United States where I have worked with completely different cultures, completely different politics, have also used those same three principles to make wonderful things happen. Salt Lake City is a very politically conservative place. It's very different from Portland. It is the headquarters of the Mormon Church. They have now a very effective regional rail system because the city and the transit agency and the Mormon Church got together and devised a plan, along with the University of Utah, to build this system and convinced other partners to help pay for it. They now have a streetcar modeled directly after the Portland streetcar. There are now a dozen such projects across the United States that have taken this good idea, stolen a good idea from their partner, and put it into action. Los Angeles, the city that planners in the United States love to sneer at, the place that is choked in congestion with giant freeways and terrible air quality. They now are putting us all to shame. They're building $100 billion worth of new rail projects. That's right, $100 billion of new rail projects. Light rail, heavy rail, across the whole Los Angeles metropolitan area. So I hope that these three principles will serve you well as they have served us well in Portland. As a leader who wants to make things happen, I know this is how it's done. Find a good idea. Find, as we did, urban trams in the Czech Republic. Buy them and bring them to Portland. Find a parks vision for your city and find the partners to make it happen. I believe these principles are universal. And if we are going to master the challenges of fast growth and the urgency of climate change, you as leaders in academia, in business, and in government can use these three principles to shape the future that you want for yourselves and for our children. I wish you all of the best in your work together and in this great collaboration that Kaen University is supporting today with this conference. Nancy and I have been so impressed with the quality of the dialogue here and the possibilities that you have for a great future. So I hope that my remarks have been helpful to you. I want to close by saying klap kum kop, and hope that you enjoy Nancy's comments as well as mine. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hales. Before you leave the stage, may I ask the audience, anyone having any questions to ask?
Do we have time? Good.
Feel free to ask questions. You can ask in Thai and we get someone to translate it.
Don't be shy.
Any brave one? All right. Before you leave the stage, may I call upon Associate Professor Supha Watanagon, Dean of Kola, to kindly present a gift to Mr. Hales, the former Mayor of the City of Portland. Thank you very much. Mr. Hales not only bring his very fantastic presentation, he also bring his other halves as well. Mrs. Nancy Hales, who is the main driver of First Stop Portland. First Stop Portland designs study tours for delegations visiting Portland. It connects delegations with Portland experts, leaders, and innovators in business, politics, and research, or in other words, the people who know Portland best. If you are an urban leader, First Stop Portland would likely to be on your top list as a pool of knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcome Mrs. Nancy Hales.
Well, thank you very much. It's truly my pleasure to be here. I think Charlie shared with you how welcomed we have felt and how much at home we have felt. And I have to say, like you, I am also a public administration MPA graduate. So how many of you actually are in the MPA program here? Some of you, please. Well, you should be, because thank you. It's a great program, and I'm the beneficiary of Doug Morgan's tutelage. My master's is in public administration, and I'm also the beneficiary of the MPA program of a husband, because I met my husband, Charlie Hales, in class, in Doug Morgan's class. So thank you. We sort of feel like we're here with the United Nations. Last night I was asked to provide a short thank you, and I learned how to say thank you in 7 languages, and there are 7 different countries here represented today, and I want to talk a little bit about how countries, how cities, how universities share. And I'm going to use the same analogy I think that my husband did, which cities should steal from each other, universities should steal from each other. And my program, I guess, would be the getaway van. We're the vehicle that helps cities steal ideas from each other. So let's start. The down button? There we go. Oh, okay, that works too. 10 years ago, while Ron Tannen was answering the call of Dr. Bao, Portland was also being inundated with requests for others to learn about the good works of the city of Portland. So we were visited upon by U.S. cities, but also by cities around the world that were particularly interested in the good works that Charlie shared with you, but also how to build their cities more sustainably. And those requests were handled anecdotally. They were handled in an unstructured way. Often, very high-level delegations would come to our city and didn't even have access to the leaders who were in fact changing the shape and making our city a stronger, more sustainable place. And that we realized that at Portland State that was an opportunity that perhaps we could help. And I think you'll hear a lot this afternoon about innovation. And I have to say, Portland State University really sort of took that question on, that challenge of how cities share best practices, and created a model that is wonderfully innovative, but also very transportable. And Kaen perhaps can pull apart some of the things that we've done through First Stop Portland and create a First Stop Kaen. So what were those challenges? And what, in fact, is First Stop Portland? Well, First Stop Portland is really based on, I would say, 4 core concepts. The first is really helping the city address these delegations and really using the city, not the classroom, as the laboratory. So we had to build a program that really would take people into the very urban core and the places that delegations were particularly interested in visiting. And we had to really rethink in our view of what a leader, what a trainer really is and what an educator really is. And sometimes they're professors, but sometimes they're really the practitioners that have done the hard work themselves. And I met someone the other night who is an archaeologist, and he said, well, do you have archaeologists speak often? And because our programs are all custom designed, if somebody asks for an archaeologist, in fact, yes, I have the best Rolodex in Portland, and I know who our archaeologists are. The third piece, and I think this is perhaps the most important piece, is Portland State needed to have value in and of itself, even as it was doing this good work for the city of Portland. And that meant that it needed to build something in this partnership also. And what we found is that as we built our program, we actually became sort of the locus for these ideas and these knowledge sharings from across the cities and across the countries. And it really raised our stature. It made us it put us in a place where we were really the brokers of the best and the newest and the most creative ideas that were being developed across cities and across the globe. And the fourth, and perhaps this is my favorite, we are, after all, university, and it is important for us to think about the next generation. And so we wanted to build into our program a way to really advance student leaders, because we all know that that is our future, and certainly you are the ones who will be carrying this good message forward. So how do we empower our students to really feel a part of a program and also use their coursework in a way that advances their own future career? So the next several slides really sort of pull apart the question of why you would even study Portland and why you would study another city. And I'm going to talk about a couple of things that my husband touched on, and I'll go through these slides briefly. But I think first and foremost is Portland really understands a mistake, and it has learned from its mistakes. And yes, you heard that Portland wasn't a Mecca or a utopia, and it really had to have it had to learn those hard lessons before it knew how to shift and transfer its ideas. And in fact, here is a picture that isn't that old. This is only 25 years old. And it was at the time when Portland had over 200 days in the year that our air quality was so bad that people were encouraged not to go outside. And so it doesn't take that long, I guess, to make the shift if you really do want to move into a role and a place of leadership in the sustainability movement. I think this is important too. We also really have figured out how to be a competitive city. Yesterday at lunch, I had the pleasure of being the lunch guest of your deputy mayor, and I asked him, so what are the things that keep you up at night, Deputy Mayor? And he said two things. He said traffic, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And the second thing he said was jobs. And I said, well, could you explain that to me a little bit more? And he said, we're really kind of a city of employees, and we want to be a city of entrepreneurs. And you certainly heard Dr. Suvet talk about the importance of incubating our own and assuring that our own, in fact, grow up and become those CEOs and those leaders. And that matters to Portland too, and it mattered certainly to us. And we really had to look for ways as a city to empower our young people to take those risks and to really say, we're not going to just, go to New York City and work for some other company. We're going to take our own idea and incubate it here, and we're going to become our own CEOs. So we figured out some of those tools of city competitiveness and inclusiveness, and that's very important. A lot of delegations come because they know that Portland has struggled with what it means to be an inclusive city. We're a city of a combination of immigrants. 25% of our population are now people of color. Over 50% of our students in our elementary and middle school and high school are students of color. So very, very soon our city will shift in its demographics and its ethnicity, and we have tools that are empowering those new groups and those new folks to be part of the fabric of the city decision making. And the third is, and I've heard this all morning, and you'll hear it clearly this afternoon, is the importance of building relationships, certainly across cities and also across sectors. And we spend a lot of time in a First Stop Portland study tour talking with those folks who were really on the front edge of building those partnerships. So who comes to study Portland? I think this map is a great one. It sort of shows you in the last, this is last year's map. So in the last 9 years, we've had over 2,000 delegations, and we've hosted over 200 cities. So again, an idea that was somewhat innovative to address a problem that the city handed us has really put our university in a very, very important place as the locus of these good ideas. So what do city leaders care most about? And Charlie talked a lot about the hard infrastructure of what happens when you develop a city well. And we, in fact, talk a lot about that at First Stop Portland because we have practitioners who have been very involved in both the land use planning but also in the development. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the shift we've seen in the questions delegations have brought us. And I think this also, certainly I'm seeing this in the conversations we've had just in the last couple days. And I call that the shift from hard infrastructure to softer infrastructure. And again, I was so happy to hear Dr. Savat talk about social well-being as an important measure, a metric of success for a city. And that's clearly what I think Portland means when we talk about livability. So let's pull these four apart really quickly, and I'll go through them. So livability, and we talked briefly about transportation choices, and I have to say I live in an urban neighborhood. Charlie mentioned we live right in an urban neighborhood. We have 5 ways to get to work. We can drive a car and pay for parking downtown, so that's the way we choose least. We can take a bus. We're on the number 19 bus route, and it takes the longest, but it gets us where we want to go. It's only 2 blocks from my office. We can take the light rail, and that's perhaps the most efficient, and it also gets us very close. We can take a bike. Our city has converted a rails to trails, and it goes right along our waterfront, and we can take a bike. And then the 5th way, am I right on that? What's the 5th way, Charlie? We can, we can walk. No, we don't want to do that. So having so many transportation choices has been very, very valuable for Portlanders. But even more important, I think, again, is the softer infrastructure. What is it like to live in our city, knowing that it is so dense now and getting more dense every year? The value of having neighborhood civic centers, and we have 93 neighborhoods plus in our city now, and each neighborhood has its own community character, it has its own community civic space, and commercial corridor. And the development of that has really been huge in the livability and the sense of social well-being that Portlanders have about their city. Good governance, you'll hear a lot about this afternoon, so I don't want to go too much into that. But it means not only working across sectors, but it also means building partnerships. And we're a city that that doesn't have a lot of corporate support, and we have to look for partners other ways to do everything from take care of our homeless, which Central City Concern does, to greening up our city streets, which the Friends of the Trees do, to helping us advance our bicycle infrastructure, which is the Portland, the Bicycle Transportation Alliance, and certainly advocating the social justice issues that compel our leaders to make good and correct choices like Opal. Quickly, I want to talk about sustainability, resiliency, and climate action. And I know a lot of you will sit through this afternoon's course about measurement, and in fact, Portland measures what it wants to change. You measure what you want to move the needle on, and we have capacity to measure almost anything, almost anywhere, about almost everything. And we can do a lot with that data, but the most important data, I think, for Portland right now is measuring areas that the citizens care about. And we actually have on our mayor's website, the dashboard, that in real time measures what citizens care about. They measure how much carbon is being saved or used each day. They measure how many bicycles, in fact, are being used to do the morning commute or not. It measures, in fact, how many homeless folks, in fact, are sheltered, some of the metrics that are very, very important to our citizens. So hugely important in the long-term sustainability of our city. And of course, here are examples of the green energy efforts that are put in place, including wind farms and solar panels on most of our buildings now, so government buildings. The last sort of core value that I think most cities come to Portland to study is something that I call community inclusiveness. Again, another way to sort of really rethink the softer infrastructure of who your city is, who makes those decisions for your city, and how you build leadership within those constituencies. And it's not only a law, it's actually one of our 19 goals that is part of our statewide law. It also is something that has become integral in the way we manage our city. And it doesn't just sit in the Office of Equity or Diversity. It, in fact, is pervasive and ubiquitous across all city bureaus. So, in fact, our law enforcement has an agenda and a requirement that's an equity inclusiveness agenda. Our Parks Department has an agenda that includes equity and diversity as key to providing services. And again, that I feel is such an easy and transferable tool that is helpful for cities to share with each other. My last couple slides are really the why do you care? Why does this matter? And I'll share with you a couple of our most recent study tours and offer some suggestions that I think are particularly relevant to Kaen. But I want to start with some of a couple people that I think most of us honor and revere. Here, as Charlie has mentioned, we were invited to the Vatican to discuss with the Pope his encyclical about the environment and human suffering. And as we were sitting there, and Pope Francis had all the mayors in front of him, and he was speaking to them, and we were all listening in the translation because he was speaking in Spanish, and he was saying, I want the world leaders to understand this. I want the world leaders to hear me. And at one point, I sort of turned around and thought, oh, I guess some world leaders must have walked in, and geez, is Barack Obama here? And I realized that he felt that the mayors were the world leaders, that the cities were where leadership really happened, and that was the most important place for him to not only launch his agenda with the encyclical, but he also felt that that was where change happened. And so I want to impress upon you that even Pope Francis values first the work that's happening in cities. And the second, again, someone we were so honored to host in our city, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, and hear his quote, "It is not a question of one nation or two nations, this is a question of humanity. Our world is our home, and there's nowhere else we can go." And again, Charlie and I had this wonderful privilege of having lunch with His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and I, in a moment of audacity, I asked if I could ask him a question and some advice on my program for Start Portland. And he sort of twinkled and said, "Of course you can ask, of course." And so I asked him, it seems like such a daunting challenge to share when cities are so big and so complex, and cities that are so much bigger than Portland are really looking to Portland for ideas and for leadership. What should we do? It's daunting for me. And he paused and he reflected for a moment, and he said this. He said, no idea is too small. There is no idea that is too small. And think about it. If you even have 5% of your Portland citizens do the right thing, if that idea goes to a city that's 15 million or 20 million, and only 5% of those people take that good idea, you've made all the difference in the world that you could have if every single citizen in the city of Portland did that. And so the idea of small ideas across cities and across continents was really something valued by His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama. And I feel if he tells us we're doing good things, then we should stay at it. So the last two slides are study tours. So this is a study tour from Mozambique, Beira, Mozambique, and they're a port city. And they too had challenges with their stormwater management, they had challenges with their government, and they had spent an entire week in Portland, mostly meeting with our port. And over the course of the 3 days, we realized that the big elephant in their room was a transit project that was being funded by the Chinese. Sound familiar? And it was really this extraordinary opportunity for their city, and they too felt daunted by how to make sure that they negotiated what was best for their citizens. And we kicked ideas around sort of off record and came up with this notion that maybe in the negotiations back and forth, even with the foreign investment, which would have been which was to be wonderful, that a set aside could be laid for the city, for Beira, to really think about how to accommodate the disruption it was going to go through and how to empower its citizens to really take full advantage and be successful in the next chapter of the life of the city, knowing it would be quite a change. And I thought about that because I've been learning about this important public works project that you will be embarked on with the Chinese government, and it sounded like something that maybe cities could share there. Amsterdam. This is we love Amsterdam, and we think that they're the greenest city in the world, and we couldn't understand why they spent any time at all in our city, Portland, Oregon. But they did, and after a week of being in our city, we sort of scratched our head and said, you know, why are you here? Shouldn't we all be going to Amsterdam? Aren't you much greener and much more sustainable than we are? And the leader of that delegation said, well, I'm glad you asked us that question, and let me tell you why we're here. And he picked up that day's daily newspaper, which in our community it's called the Oregonian. So he picked up the daily newspaper, and on the front page of our newspaper was this difficult story about how Portlanders were angsting about whether or not they should use a leaf blower or they should rake their leaves. Should we use a leaf blower, which uses energy, or should we in fact all be raking our leaves? And that was front page, top of the fold story. And he thought it was laughable, and actually we think it's sort of laughable too, that would be so important to Oregonians. But he said this, he said, you know, you've been saying how sustainable our city is, but let me tell you, Amsterdam isn't so sustainable. It's medieval. It's an old medieval city. And we were built with efficiency and effectiveness, efficacy in mind. That was our goal. You're a city that was built with aspirations. See this newspaper. We came because we need your aspirations. But you, Portland, you need more of our efficiency and our efficacy. And that sharing of what we needed was so important to our city leaders because they do need to understand, we do need to understand more than just our aspirational values. We must understand our practical values of how it affects the daily lives of every citizen. And now our favorite. So you probably recognize some of the delegation members. Khon was in our city last year, and it was so important for us not just to share ideas across the continent and across our cities and across our universities, but also to learn about how we might work better together. And this was at the time when both universities were really looking for that partnership in a way that could be cemented into something long-term and permanent. And we had several days, and here they're meeting with our business leaders, they're meeting with our university, and also with some of our local mayors who are out in some of the suburban adjacent cities. And it was such an important moment for us, and we realized how sincere and earnest Kaen was in moving and advancing the agenda just like we were. And the most important thing Kaen taught us was how to honor each other. So, Khap Khun Ka, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nancy, for your presentation.
And do you want, I have a little time for questions, if anyone has a question.
Any questions?
Oh, come on. Okay.
Okay.
Khap Khun Ka.
ขอบคุณค่ะ Before you leave the stage, may I call upon Dr. Pirasit, the former Dean of KOLA. Please kindly be on the stage, sir. And we have a gift from the host of the conference. Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have another round of applause? Thank you very much for her valuable knowledge and experiences regarding First Stop Portland. I'm confident that everyone here had learned so much from Portland State, and we hear a lot of keywords like sustainability, development, leadership, especially, personally, I'm very touched when former Mayor Hales saying that leadership sometimes means breaking the rules and putting new idea forward and put into practice. So all of us have to rethink what we do, the policy and the practices that we've been doing for a number of years. Maybe it's time to rethink and change. Right, the opening ceremony has come to an end. May I call upon Dr. Pirasit again to say a few words to thank all the speakers and participants. Thank you.
On behalf of the organizer of this conference and the College of Local Administration, I would like to thank all the participants here. You have been a very good audience, except for one thing that you did not ask questions. but I can understand that we are quite shy, you know. I found the lecture this morning very inspiring, and that I steal the word from Nancy. She talked about inspiration, and and I think what you have come here, you inspire us to be more confident in ourselves that we doing the right thing, and that we better do it and become more perseverance, and that with your help and the Portland State University, of course, and many other our colleagues, the Lanzhou University, Konrad Adenauer Stiftung, and what else? Waseda University, and many other sponsors and partners, we can do better. And I think we all, should be inspired that we should together make Khon City not only just more livable, but be more sustainable and become a truly smart city. According to my understanding, limited knowledge on this, I think that when we talk about smart city, we should make the city a good place and for everyone, not just those who live in the city, but those who surround the city. And that's the case that we learned from Portland, from our delegate that we visited Portland last I think almost 2 years ago, about 2 years ago. We noted that one of the key elements of success is that you make everyone feel that this is the benefit will be fall upon, everyone will gain from what you are doing. And I think we will try hard to do this, and COLA can only do a small thing, but we would be the, what should I call, the people in the backstage who want to create a better place for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pirasit, the head of organizing team of this conference. Before we leave the room, I have a few housekeeping notes to make. First, please do not take the headphones. For those who are using the spontaneous translation service, you must return the headphones. And second, lunch, for those who have lunch coupon, lunch is provided second floor, the room number 203 and 204, second floor, this building. And third, the afternoon sessions will start at 1 p.m. Second floors as well, room number 206, 207, 209, and 210. For the room 210, we also have a spontaneous translation service, Chinese to English as well, to provide for those participants. And for dinner tonight, I would like to invite all participants to join a buffet dinner at Kosa Hotel. Starts at 6:30. Kosa Hotel is not far from Pullman and Jarantani Hotel, walking distance. So you can walk from your hotel to Kosa Hotel. Or the dinner, I've been informed that hosted by Khon City. Right, and lastly, if you need any help, please contact COLA staff at the registration booth outside. Any problem at all, please let our staff know, and we will try to assist you in any matter. So enjoy your lunch. And also a quick note, all the photos taken this morning has been posted on the website, on COLA website. And if anyone want to download photos, please go on COLA website. Thank you very much.